Okay, let's dive right into this explainer. Today, we're looking at a story that is honestly so much more than just your typical romance. We're exploring the source material behind Jojo Moyes' deeply emotional and really thought-provoking novel, Me Before You. This is one of those narratives that just grabs hold of you, right? Because it isn't just about two people falling in love. It's this intense exploration of hope, profound pain, the actual limits of personal freedom, and ultimately, learning how to truly live. It's a beautifully complex story, and the way it unfolds offers us some incredibly powerful life lessons.
Just think about this for a second. Sometimes the people who change our lives the most are only with us for a short time. It's a pretty heavy thought, isn't it? What if love entered your life not to give you that classic happily ever after, but purely to teach you how to live? That question really sets the emotional stakes for everything we're about to unpack. This quote is basically the heartbeat of the material, reminding us right from the jump that impact isn't always measured by the amount of time we spend with someone, but by the depth of what they leave behind.
So let's get right into Section 1, Two Worlds Collide.
We're about to look at two totally different individuals, living completely different realities, whose paths are about to intersect in a way literally neither of them could have ever predicted. On the one hand, we have Louisa Clark, or Lou. Lou is cheerful, she's quirky, full of energy, but her life is, well, incredibly predictable. She lives in a small town, helps support her struggling family, and works at a local cafe. It's a very simple, safe existence. But then she suddenly loses her job, which forces her to take on a completely unfamiliar role as a caregiver. Now, on the flip side, we have the man she's hired to care for, Will Traynor. Before a tragic motorcycle accident, Will had it all: wealth, adventure, confidence, total freedom. He traveled the world and lived fearlessly. But the accident left him a quadriplegic. He's now trapped in a wheelchair, and emotionally he is just completely shattered. He's become cold, distant, and bitter, constantly pushing everyone away. So when Lou steps into his home, it is this massive collision of a bright, simple world and a dark, broken reality.
Which brings us to Section 2, Changing Each Other.
At first, their relationship feels totally impossible, mostly marked by Will's coldness and Lou's awkwardness. But over time, that initial friction actually begins to transform into something beautiful. We can trace this remarkable evolution in a few distinct steps. First off, Lou slowly starts breaking down Will's walls. Her humor, her genuine kindness, and her endearing, somewhat awkward honesty really start to affect him. For the first time in a long time, Will starts smiling. Lou literally brings color back into his gray world. But step 2 is equally important here. Will changes Lou too. He sees her potential and encourages her to dream so much bigger than her small town. He pushes her to stop being afraid and to step completely outside of her comfort zone. And this naturally leads to step 3. Together, they start experiencing life again, going to concerts, taking trips, sharing these deep conversations, and a lot of laughter. And eventually, this profound connection blossoms into love. But right as we hit this beautiful peak,
We hit Section 3, A Heartbreaking Secret.
Okay, we really have to pause here for a second, because beneath all those beautiful, colorful moments they've started sharing, there's a very painful hidden truth. As the source material makes perfectly clear, this story is absolutely not a fairy tale. Lou makes a devastating discovery. Long before she even entered his life, Will had already made a resolute decision. He plans to end his life through assisted suicide, because despite his growing love for Lou, Will fundamentally believes that he can never truly live the life he once had, that fearless, boundless life that completely defined who he was. It's just a crushing realization.
So how does Lou handle this? Well, it maps out into a timeline of pure determination. First, the discovery. Lou is entirely shattered by Will's secret, obviously, but she utterly refuses to give up. That leads right into phase 2. The plan. Lou decides she's going to change his mind. She meticulously creates this list of adventures and new experiences, and finally, the execution. She takes Will out into the world, just desperate to show him that even with his physical limitations, his life is still profoundly worth living. And for a while, as they go on these adventures, it really feels like her love just might be enough to save him.
And that builds right into Section 4, The Final Choice.
Lou's timeline of adventures culminates in this beautiful, highly emotional trip to an island, where their connection becomes deeper than ever and Will actually finally confesses his love for her. But what follows is the true test of that love. Instead of a traditional romantic resolution, Will delivers a really heartbreaking truth. He loves her too much to make her sacrifice her future for him. Will's reasoning is rooted in a deep, selfless kind of love. He simply doesn't want to tether Lou to his limitations. He wants her to travel, to chase her dreams, and to experience life with a freedom that he can no longer have. He's essentially choosing to let her go so that she can fly.
Despite all of Lou's desperate efforts and all the incredible love they share, Will chooses to go through with his decision. It's an agonizing resolution. But Lou makes her own really powerful choice here. She stays by his side right until the very end. She doesn't abandon him in his final moments. And the incredible takeaway here is that through losing him and walking through that immense grief, Lou actually finds an entirely new, stronger version of herself.
Let's step back and look at Section 5, Lessons in Love.
Having walked through the narrative, it's really important to look objectively at what this story is actually doing. The author neutrally and empathetically tackles some incredibly complex, deeply personal questions here about freedom, bodily autonomy, and dignity. So let's break down the core themes. The crucial point is that this is a story where love doesn't equal your standard happy ending. First, love can change people. Sometimes love doesn't fix a situation, but it transforms us forever. Second, live boldly. Will's lasting gift to Lou is teaching her to stop living in fear. Third, freedom and choice. The story forces us to look impartially at very difficult questions regarding dignity and the right to choose one's own fate. And finally, grow through pain. It shows us how severe heartbreak can actually serve as the catalyst for the beginning of a brand new life.
All of those themes are just beautifully encapsulated in Will's final words of guidance to Lou. Push yourself, don't settle, live well. It's a powerful summary of the ultimate message here. It's a call for personal growth, for resilience, and for seizing the opportunities of a fully lived life no matter how much pain you've been through.
Which leaves us with a final lingering question for you. Would you have tried to change Will's decision? It's a heavy question, for sure, and one that really challenges our notions of love, autonomy, and what it actually means to care for someone deeply. I encourage you to think about that as we wrap up today's explainer. Thank you so much for joining me as we structured and unpacked these incredible insights. Keep exploring, keep questioning, and I'll see you next time.